Does anyone remember maybe 10 days ago or so where I made one of these type of videos talking about our Bradford City already promoted with 11 games to go? Since then, we've lost to Gillingham and Tranmere, and the gap to third place and fourth place is now only 3 points. That is very concerning, but we're back today for the Game Week 37, I think it was, League 2 review. If you do want to enjoy, make sure to drop a like on there for me, subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. 80 likes as always would be massively appreciated, and don't forget to get your thoughts in on your team's performance and result down in the comment section down below. Who do you think is getting promoted? Who do you think will be relegated? And let's get into it. Now, we will start out firstly then with Thursday's kickoff between Bromley and Walsall. This one finishing in a 2-2 draw. And when the full-time whistle comes in, you're thinking this is now a real opportunity for Bradford City to go level on points with the Saddlers at the top of the table. With the goal difference swing, it was more likely we were going to say in second, but going level on points would have been very nice. In the end, it's been a point gained on Bradford City, and I watched the full match in full detail, so I've got a full match review because I made quite a lot of notes on the game, so I'm going to read out the notes that I've made, I guess. So, the most notable thing in terms of the team news from a Walsall perspective, I know their fans have been calling for changes for quite a while. They dropped goalkeeper Tommy Simkin, former Bantam Sam Hornby got the nod in between the sticks. I would say for both goals, there's not really much that he can do about either of them, and Michael Cheek for Bromley was also a massive doubt for this game, but he did start this game. He got an assist for the second goal as well. I was very impressed with Kamal Grant in the first half. I thought he looked very composed on the ball and very tidy for a fullback, but the score is open then by Ben Thompson after 7 minutes. It was a great counter-attack from Bromley. Good play between Congreve and Cheek down the left-hand side. Thompson is then about 20 yards out. Powerful strike towards the front post. Alex Patterson-esque, I would describe that strike, as Hornby can do nothing about it. Third goal for Bromley of the season outside of the box. And I thought Congreve, especially in that first half, had the beating of Barrow very easily down the Bromley left-hand side. 22 minutes in, Bromley had the ball in the back of the net again, but Michael Cheek is clearly offside, and then he also clearly handballs it into the back of the net. But I would say I didn't actually spot the handball until the third replay, so he disguised it very well. That could have been a Maradona versus England moment, but Bromley versus Walsall, so not quite on the same level of importance. But I thought again it was great build-up play, very direct into Michael Cheek. 35 minutes on the clock, there's a great chance for a match here. Obviously former Bromley man, 6 yards out, but it was very good defending from Deji Leroy, who I was very impressed with in the first half. I think he sweeps up any real errors that Byron Webster does make. 40 minutes, Bromley could have had a penalty. A Kagbu kicks Webster. It would have been soft, but we've definitely seen softer penalties given this weekend, haven't we? Looking back on these notes that I've made now, if the Bradford City one's a penalty, then goodness me, how did Bromley not get a spot kick for that? 1-1 was just before the half-time mark. Awful defending from Bromley. Goal came out of nowhere, really. Just a long throw into the box, which isn't really dealt with. However, it was a good spin and finish from Amachi. Terrible defending, though, from Andy Woodman's side, and it was Amachi's. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. It's Amanchi, not Amachi. I put down Amachi on my thing, my notes for some reason. Amanchi was a great finish for him for his second goal of the season. My overall thoughts on the first half, Bromley were definitely the better side and looked very dangerous on the counter-attack, especially through Cameron Congreve. Walsall lacked creativity and any real game plan. A good goal, but not a performance from potential champions. Into the second half then, Harry McCurdy would find himself on the score sheet with a brilliant finish. An excellent lob over Sam Hornby. It's definitely not an easy finish whatsoever, and a goal created once again by Michael Cheek. He's done something out of nothing really, just a throw-in on the near side, which is not really going anywhere, and he plays a brilliant ball over the top. I thought Bromley's corner deliveries as well during the game were absolutely brilliant. Every time like it was going to land on a Bromley head, so credit to Walsall for defending them very well. 2-2 is how the game did finish, and that second goal for the Saddlers was great link-up play between Jellis and is it Barnett or Barrett? I think it's Barrett, isn't it? Down the right-hand side. A great cross into the box from the former Filed man, and Jamil Matt uses all of his experience to poke his belly towards the ball. I'm sure Walsall fans will be thinking that's the type of finish you'd see or expect from Andy Cook, but it was a real experienced striker's sort of finish, and again seemingly out of nowhere Walsall have 2 goals. I definitely think the Saddles were better in the second half, but they couldn't have really got much worse considering how poor they were in the first. Then a stat came up on Sky saying Walsall had scored 18 goals in the last 15 minutes of the season, most of any League 2 team. They had a great counter-attack towards the end of the match, but unfortunately could not quite convert. Connor Barrett did also pick up his 10th yellow card of the season, so he will now miss the Sadler's next 2 games against Gillingham and Wimbledon. Big blow, but a rest will do him the world of good because he's played a lot of football for them so far this campaign. I think they've got about 6 players away for international duty next weekend, and they're still deciding to play the game. That is my match reaction then in all of its glory. Walsall, according to the stats, were definitely the better side, but from the eye test, I definitely think Bromley were better in the first half, and then I thought second half was fairly even. In the end, it has turned out to be a point gain for the Saddlers on Bradford City, and I think again going into the game, Bromley would have definitely been happy with a point. They are now 6 points off of the playoffs, and with Colchester's recent form, I can't really see them getting in there now. It's still been an unbelievable first season in the EFL for them, so big credit to Andy Woodman's side. I think again, Walsall now 5 without a win. Just a couple of weeks ago, they were telling me, oh, we've got 7 points out of our last 9, how are we bottling it? But it's just 3 points picked up out of their last possible 15 available. They're lucky Bradford City have had all the injuries recently, and they're having to play some of their 4th and 5th choices in certain positions, because if the likes of Point and Sarcevic, Cook, Patterson were all available, we'd definitely be top of the league. But again, it's all about if, buts and maybes. If Nathan Lowe wasn't recalled in January, then Walsall, I think, would have already had promotion secured, and he's played about 15 minutes in the last 4 games for Stoke. Good point, all things considered, for both teams. Let's move on. Swindon and Cheltenham played out a 6-goal thriller in the early kickoff at the county ground. Is it Jordan Thomas opened the scoring on 8 minutes? Sam Stubbs with the assist. Pretty sloppy defending really from Swindon. The Robins man is allowed to cut in on that strong left foot, and he curls it into the far corner. Will Wright would equalise just before half-time with an excellent free kick, to be fair, but just 3 minutes into the second half, the Robins would find themselves back ahead. Swindon don't really deal with a well-worked corner routine. Will Wright fails to clear the ball. It falls to Tim Dieng. He swings a left foot at it, and he finds the back of the net. Then just 6 minutes later, Will Wright would score in the same night as he did in the first half, but obviously that would then go down as an own goal. Great play from Ethan Archer to fire a ball across, and it kind of just hits him and goes into the back of the net. Tom Bradbury then does the most stupid thing ever on a yellow card. Just 3 minutes after picking up that first yellow card, cross comes into the box. It's cleared away by Sam Stubbs, and Bradbury's just pulled back Harry Smith for absolutely no reason. He then gets his marching orders. Shamanga converts his penalty into the back of the net, and then it's just about trying to defend. They failed to do so for the remainder of the game, as Harry Smith would set up Ollie Clark with a really composed finish into the back of the net with that left foot, and it was a very, very entertaining game. Lots of chances in there for Swindon. Cheltenham not really creating all too much apart from their goals, as you would really expect. I would say after the red card, you would expect them to have created absolutely nothing. Again, come the end of the season, I think this will just be a clash that was played out between 2 mid-table sides. Swindon, they continue their unbeaten run, especially at the county ground. They just don't seem to die there. Cheltenham, they've got no real chance of the playoffs now. 8 points away from it, no games in hand, minus goal difference. Colchester's unbelievable form, so I think again it's about building for next season for both of these teams. Clearly they're good at scoring goals. Clearly, they're also very bad at conceding them. Well, actually, they're good at conceding goals, aren't they? They're bad at defending their goal. The other early kickoff then saw Crewe Alexandra play out a 1-1 draw with Doncaster Rovers, and there was again some more very, very questionable refereeing decisions, where they're not really questionable, they're just quite frankly wrong. Crewe opened the scoring on 10 minutes, and obviously I was delighted that Crewe did do that, with obviously Doncaster being closer to Bradford City in the table, but it's very clear to see that I think it's Williams is offside in the build-up, and then the ball hits O'Riordan's hand. I don't know why this guy keeps scoring, because it's impossible to pronounce his name, but there's 2 blatant decisions there that the officials have just got wrong, and it didn't get much better there. I watched the first half of this game before obviously setting off at 2 Vale Parade, and I thought it was quite even. Both teams had some decent chances. The Doncaster team, I don't know why that was so hard for me to say, but Doncaster did equalise in the second half on the 75th minute. Luke Molyneux with a great corner into the box, but it's terrible defending from Crewe. Owen Bailey just has a free header 8-10 yards out, something like that, and it's, to be fair, it's a well executed header into the back of the net. Now, there's one penalty decision that I have seen, or potential penalty decision that I have seen. It's the one late on in the game, 92nd, 93rd, 94th minute, something like that, where a Doncaster player is chopped in half inside the penalty area, and the referee doesn't give it. I've no idea why he hasn't given it. Thankfully, from a Bradford City point of view, he hasn't given it. But again, we're talking about season-defining moments where teams are just on the wrong end of them, and what happens to these referees? There's no accountability for them. It is the most stonewall penalty you will see, and again, if that's not a penalty, then how the hell is the one at Vale Parade given? This is the problem with referees. They'll constantly make these horrendous decisions, and well, next week he'll probably be in League One, because that's just how it works. Absolutely shocking officiating in this game, and it takes away from what would have otherwise been quite a dramatic late win for Doncaster and would have really put them back in the title race potentially. Now though, for them, it's 3 games without a win. They've dropped out of the top 3, and again, it comes down to refereeing decisions. Yeah, maybe first half Doncaster weren't quite at the heights that you would expect, but they still had some good chances. Crewe, it is now 3 games without a win for them. They've dropped out of that top 7. I called it a couple of weeks ago. I don't see them finishing in there come the end of the campaign with Colchester's very good run of form. In the end, a point away at Crewe, it's not an awful result for Doncaster, but considering the terrible refereeing decisions in the game, where Crewe's goal is offside and a handball, Doncaster should have a penalty, or maybe 2. I've not seen the other decision. It's just criminal, isn't it, these dodgy referees? They're genuinely going to cost teams promotion, going to cost managers their jobs, and it's not on at all. If you think I'm done talking about horrendous refereeing decisions, you'd just be completely wrong, because we've got more to speak about in this game. Accrington opened the scoring just before half-time through Ward. A great free kick into the box from Woods, and then Ward is just left completely open to tap it into the back of the net. It was Mackenzie for Gillingham who just completely lost his man, completely switched off, and Accrington were then able to punish. Obviously, they were looking to build on their 5-0 win in midweek over Newport County. Look at the stats. It wasn't the most quality-filled match of the game. Gillingham largely dominating possession, and they got their equaliser late on in the game. But for me, this goal should not stand. It's a free kick. It's a well-worked move, to be fair, and a great finish from Max Clark. Very intelligent from Armani Little, but it's a foul. It's a clear foul from Max Amer on, I believe, the Accrington number 6, his name being not on the pitch, apparently. Was it Coyle, potentially? I'm not too sure of his name, but the Accrington number 6 is assaulted by Max Amer. That goal should not stand for me. It's a blatant foul, and whether Gillingham deserve to get something out of the game or not, in the manner that they've got their goal, it's a foul. Anywhere else on the pitch, you cannot block somebody off, you cannot barge into somebody, and it is a blatant foul. That said, obviously, it's nice for Gillingham to actually pick up some points on the road. They've been very poor away from home, especially recently. Lost a lot of games, so nice for them to finally put a stop to that. I think both teams are definitely going to be safe come the end of the season, 10 and 12 points above the drop zone, respectively. Gillingham also have that game in hand. It's not been a bad last couple of games for the Gills. We're obviously looking at 7 points out of their last possible 12 available. Same can be said about Accrington. They've got the exact same record. Both teams will definitely be playing League 2 football next season. Both teams will have different expectations for next campaign as well, so it's a result that doesn't really mean much, but in my personal opinion, I think both teams should be level on points now. Is that how it would work? No, because Accrington would have 2 extra, Gillingham would have 1 less. I think Accrington should be above Gillingham in the table. Based on Gillingham's isolated goal, it's a foul for me. Blatant foul. How the referee doesn't spot that, how the linesman doesn't spot that, I will never know. If I'm an Accrington fan, I think I'd be feeling very robbed about that one. Anyone who's ever watched any ounce of EFL football knew exactly how this game was going to go. The best home team in the division hosted the worst away team in the entire division. What does that mean the score's going to finish? Obviously, a 1-0 away win. Such a frustrating game. First half, we should completely have the game wrapped up. Richie Small and Brandon Kaler have a couple of decent strikes from outside of the box, which both go just wide. Brad Halliday has a cross-come shot, which George Lapsley somehow puts over the bar from a yard or 2 out. Jamie Walker then has a really good opportunity in that first half to find the back of the net. We should have gone in at the break, at least 2, if not 3 goals up, but we were paid to rue our missed chances, or whatever the saying is, where Tranmere Rovers are given a penalty for, I'm not really too sure. Jack Shepherd quite clearly plays the ball, and somehow Tom Parsons, who is comfortably the worst official in the entire country, sees it as a penalty. Now, don't get me wrong, Tranmere Rovers should have a Stonewall spot kick, which hasn't been given a couple of minutes later. And I would have no complaints if he didn't give the one which he did give, and then he does give the one which he didn't give. But he's got them both wrong. He made so many horrendous decisions in the game. First half, I thought it was fairly inconsistent for both teams, but how they didn't get a single player booked in the first half, and we had 2, is mind-blowing. They should have had 4 or 5 players booked in that first half and didn't have a single one. Both of our bookings, I could certainly see the argument for that, but the amount of deliberate bad fouls that they were making, how none of them were deemed yellow cards, I will have no idea. Tom Parsons is an absolute criminal of a referee. How he got away with so much of it is mind-blowing to me. He is a shocking official. If Carlisle, Doncaster, Walsall fans are all saying how bad of an official he is, then that tells you quite a lot about it. I will give credit to Tranmere Rovers. turnovers, because clearly they had a game plan. They were time wasting from minute one, trying to slow the game down, making it ugly, and it worked for them. They've got the 3 points. They're definitely going to be safe, I believe, now come the end of the season. It's a massive win for them. A coolly converted penalty as well from Josh Hawkes. Whenever a penalty is given, I don't really have much confidence in Sam Walker. I think he's only saved one in his Bradford City career. Penalty saving's not really his thing, and when you're 1-0 down at home, you've got no Cook, Patterson, Point and Sarcevic, then you're relying on the likes of Tyreek Wright, Callum Kavanagh, Tommy Lee, Clark Adore to all come off the bench and impact the game. It was just never really going to happen for us. Second half, you know what? I'll give Tranmere credit. They defended very well. They made it very hard for us to create anything, and we didn't really do that. First half, we should have the game wrapped up. Second half, we didn't do enough to win the football match, in my personal opinion. Let's see what the stats were saying. Yeah, we had loads of shots, not really many on target. When you're playing against a very good goalkeeper in Luke McGee, they created very little, weren't a very good footballing team. I think they've got a very good manager, though, in Andy Crosby. I was very impressed with his post-match interview, gave us quite a lot of credit, which you don't really see opposition managers do, especially when their team wins a match. It is now concerning, though, that Bradford City can hammer so many good teams and then we'll lose to Gillingham and Tranmere, two of the worst teams in the country this season. And that's, you know, fact. Tranmere are 22nd, Gillingham are 19th. It's just so frustrating how we can seem to win the hard games or draw in the hard games and then we'll just lose to two really easy games. It won't surprise me now if we go and beat Colchester next week, but again, with no Patterson, Point and Cook Sarcevic, where are our goals going to come from? Because we're really lacking that clinical edge in the final third. Colchester, the most informed team in the entire country. I am certainly not looking forward to that next week, but my head was on absolute Mars after every time we have Tom Parsons. He's a dreadful referee, but credit to Tranmere, that probably keeps them safe. Now it's back-to-back wins for them, 8 points picked up out of their last possible 12 available, 6 points clear of the drop as well now, but it's definitely another 3 points drop for Bradford City. We could be 3 points clear at the top of the table, but unfortunately things are never done the easy way and it's now only a 3 point gap to fourth. Very frustrating. Bradford City didn't help out Carlisle United this weekend, and Carlisle United didn't help out Bradford City. Wimbledon coming away with a 2-1 victory. The scoring was opened after only 2 minutes. A great finish, to be fair, from Maycock right into the top corner, and then the assister would turn goal scorer in the second half, just 4 minutes into it. Alistair Smith with a really well executed finish into the back of the net, but terrible defending from Carlisle, which has been the case for them over the last couple of seasons. How a midfielder can have so much space and time inside the penalty area is absolutely criminal. Carlisle do get back into the game in the second half. A great cross into the box from Kadeem Harris. He's been one of their very, very few bright sparks this season. Another goal for Matty Dennis. A great header from him, to be fair, but Carlisle they're just bad, aren't they? How many of the players in the Carlisle squad? They've got a massive squad, but how many of them are Carlisle going to want to have around for next season in the National League? 5 at a push. I can think Gabriel Breeze, Callum Guy, but I don't see really either of them two staying. Maybe Breeze, Kadeem Harris potentially. Then apart from that, I don't think if any other player was to leave, I don't think anyone would really care that much when you've got the likes of Jordan Jones on big money for the next 2-3 years contributing nothing. Same can be said about Elliot Embleton as well. Two players who are massively overpaid and just think they're better than what they are. They really lack the desire, and I feel like when you're playing against an AFC Wimbledon team, you've got to be able to stand up to the challenge, you've got to be able to fight until the end, and Carlisle played a 4-4-2 and looked absolutely all over the place, unless that was intentional, which I highly doubt it. It's a simple formation. Mark Hughes has tried to go back to basics, and they were just absolutely terrible. Let's have a look at the stats from the game. Both teams had some decent shots, a lot of them from long range. I thought Gabriel Breeze were fumbling a few chances where you think, well, they're pretty easy saves, to be fair. Carlisle dominated possession, only had 3 shots on target, though didn't really work. Owen Goodman, we look at the league table. Wimbledon are now back into the top 3 on goal difference. They've been really inconsistent recently. They've beat Notts County and Carlisle, but lost to Cheltenham, Morecambe and Bromley in between that. So anyone can beat anyone in this division. Unless you're Carlisle, you don't really beat anybody, unless it's Barrow. Is certainly what it seems to be at the moment. They were down a long time ago. They're now 9 points from safety. Like I mentioned before, they should have never appointed Mike Williamson. I don't think they should have really appointed Mike Hughes either. He's not really made them much better. Yes, they're only losing games by 1 goal, but when you need to be winning football matches, you're 9 points from safety. There's 10 games to go if you're a Carlisle fan. I can't see them overturning a 9-point gap with how good Tranmere have been under Andy Crosby, and it's just a nightmare for them. Good for Wimbledon, though, to get back to winning ways, and with the inconsistencies of everybody in the round and promotion spots, who knows who's going to get promoted. It now certainly puts Wimbledon back in a very good position to receive automatic promotion. But goodness me, Carlisle are terrible. Colchester United continued their brilliant run of form as they demolished Pete Wild's Fleetwood team. Now, normally a Pete Wild team are very good defensively, but they were all over the place. And again, we've got to give a lot of credit to Colchester, the most informed team in the entire country. It's 5 straight wins on the bounce for them now. I think it's just 1 loss this calendar year. And it all comes down, I think, this game to Ryan Graydon being injured. Surely, 24 minutes in, the star man has to come off. He's still going to win the Golden Boot. Let's just hope his injury's not too long. In all seriousness, though, Colchester are very good. Very, very good. They have got a real opportunity of making it in the top 3. Nobody can seem to stop them at the moment. The scoring was opened in the second half by Lyle Taylor. A great through ball from Harry Anderson, and I think the Fleetwood defender gets a slight nick on it, maybe takes it past the keeper, but then just 3 minutes later, it would be a 2-0. Some shocking goalkeeping, to be fair, right through the Fleetwood man's legs. Good finish, though, from Aware Edwards, and then Jack Payne would wrap the game up, if it wasn't already in the 85th minute, with an unbelievable first-time strike from distance. He has always been a player who's been far too good for League Two, but just never seemingly done it at League One level. And he's a player, obviously played for Bradford City, since then has loved the goal against us, scored for Swindon in the 21-22 season, scored for MK Dons last campaign. Didn't score against Bradford City in the reverse fixture, so no doubt he'll score against us on Saturday. I am not looking forward to playing them. They are very good with the ball. They've got some real firepower at the top end of the pitch, and even without Samson Tavide for this game, who came off at half-time on Tuesday, they're just a very, very good team. Lots of green, a bit of blue in there as well for Colchester. They've got goals, they've got firepower at the top end of the pitch, a real quality team for them now into the top 7 as well. They're only 5 points away from that top 3. They have a real opportunity of achieving automatic promotion. They've conceded the 3rd least amount of goals in the entire division, although they have scored the least amount in the entire top 7. At the moment, they are joined with goals scored with Crewe, but they've still got a pretty tidy goal difference. Fleetwood, they've got no chance of making it into the playoffs now. They had to win this game if they wanted any outside potential of that, and it obviously has ended their unbeaten run. Again, losing against Colchester with the form that they're in, it's not the end of the world when Fleetwood are all about building for next season. Your main recent goal scorer goes off with injury after just 24 minutes as well. So another brilliant win for Danny Cowley's side. They've got a real chance of automatic promotion. At Fleetwood, season's definitely over for them. It's all about building for next season. But please, Colchester, have an off day on Saturday. We've got promotion to win. It's been a couple of days to forget for David Artell's Grimsby as they were beaten at home again without response, 1-0 by Salford City. A late Matty Lund header from a corner, which was delivered by Luke Garbutt. Both teams had some decent chances. From the highlights, looked like Grimsby had the better of the two, and it's just such a disappointing goal if you're a Grimsby fan to concede. It's just a corner into the box, and Matty Lund basically has a free header, and it kind of loops over the Grimsby goalkeeper, and you just think, goodness me, we've just been absolutely done in a game like that. Now, Salford, they've got some real firepower at the top end of the pitch. Grimsby, though, you're not going to win games, especially at home, not having a single shot on target. I feel like they really lacked the clinical edge in this game. They got into some good areas, they created some decent chances, but really just lacked the clinical nature. Salford, though, I would say they've had more possession, more shots on target. Probably did do enough to win this football match. And like I mentioned before, I think they've got some real firepower at the top end of the pitch. The likes of Kelly Namai, the likes of Akiba Doulakan. They've got some good midfielders like Woodburn, Forner, Ashley Charles as well, Josh Osterfield. They have got some decent players. For Grimsby, though, back-to-back home defeats, no goal scored in their last 2. I mean, they're only 2 points off the playoffs, but it's 3 points with obviously a 15 goal difference swing. With Colchester's recent run of form, I do now think it's going to be a real hard task for Grimsby to get into that top 7. Salford, I don't see them making up the 5-point gap. Again, probably a 6-point gap with the 9 goal difference swing as well. It is only their first win in at least their last of 4 matches, which is obviously not ideal for them, but it's all about building for next season. I feel like this might have just been one that Grimsby will look back on at the end of the season and think, if we only would have won that match, considering the recent form of Colchester. I don't see the likes of Port Vale or Notts County dropping out of that top 7. A good win for Salford, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to be a win that really means much come the end of the campaign for me. Morecambe bottled a 2-0 lead at home to Barrow to pretty much secure their relegation to the National League. Wian Edwards opened the scoring on just at 9 minutes. To be fair, it was a great through ball from White and a really composed finish from the former Peterborough and Ipswich man into the back of the net. Then Max Taylor would see red on the 28-minute mark for just a very, very silly challenge, really. Barrow not really doing much with their attack. It's kind of halfway through the Morecambe half, and Taylor just elbows the Barrow player straight in the face. It's a clear red card. I don't think Morecambe can really have many complaints. It's just a very, very silly one. Lee Angle would find himself on the score sheet again, though. Some nice play from him on the right-hand side. He cuts in, has a shot on the left foot. He takes a pretty wild deflection, bounces a couple of times, and the keeper, defender, Morecambe player, everyone just seems to leave it for one another, and eventually it bobbles into the bottom corner, and you're thinking, yes, they've got 10 men, but 2-0 up at home. Morecambe then tried to just see the game out and sit in a low block, but they conceded in the 63rd minute. Cross comes into the box, and they just don't really deal with it. And then the second goal, Bradford City loanee Tyler Smith on the score sheet. Shot comes in from distance from Barrow, and it seems like it's just going to be a pretty comfortable save for the Morecambe keeper, but he spills it right into the path of Tyler Smith, and that's what he's certainly good at, sniffing out them type of chances, and he finishes into the back of the net. And again, Morecambe, they needed to win this game. They've only had 2 shots on target. I know the red card will have definitely played its part, but 28% of possession, 4 shots, just 2 on target. Barrow have battered them, as you would expect. 72% possession, 26 shots, 11 on target, nearly 4 XG created. Barrow comfortably deserve the 3 points in this game, especially in that second half. Morecambe for them, they're now 6 points from safety. Just 4 points picked up at their last possible, at 15 available. When you look at Tranmere have picked up 8 points out of the last 12. It's simply not good enough. Not if they want to survive this season. This was a real opportunity for them to pick up the 3 points. And I think if you're a Morecambe player, manager, fan, you'll be absolutely furious at Max Taylor, because that red card was a real game changer. It's a point which for Barrow doesn't really mean much. It maintains their unbeaten run. 7 points picked up out of their last possible 9 available. But with the form of Tranmere, the form of Morecambe, the fixtures Morecambe have got, I can only really see them going down now. I do think Carlisle and Morecambe will be playing National League football next season. Definitely Carlisle. Morecambe, I think, have still got a glimmer of hope, but they lose their next game, they're down for me 100%. Newport County were battered in midweek 5-0 away at Accrington, so the only logical response to that would be to then go and win 3-0 at home to a pretty recent in-form Harrogate Town. The scoring was 2-0 after the quarter of an hour mark. 2 goals from set pieces, which I'm sure Harrogate will be very disappointing with. The third goal isn't really much better. Cross comes into the box and Harrogate just don't deal with it, heading it off of each other, and eventually Clark pokes into the back of the net. I think Newport, they are understandably inconsistent because they've got some good players who are playing in League 2 for a reason. They can be good on their day, but their day doesn't really come along all too long. But I do think a front three of Adjaboy, Baker Richardson and Camwer is better than where Newport are in the table. Obviously, it's a big win for them. They have had some of these very inconsistent results where they'll do very well and score 3 or 4 in a game, and then they'll concede 3 or 4 in another game, which is why they've scored 48 goals, but also conceded 61, which is the most in the entire division. That obviously does need to improve for next season. But again, with the expectation, everyone thought Newport would be going down this year. They have done very well to be up in 16th. Harrogate, they've been on a decent run of form. 7 points picked up out of their previous 9. It is a very disappointing result for them. They dropped down to 21st in the table, but they're still 10 points above the drop. I don't see them going down this season. Next season, though, I might be a little bit concerned for them because I just think they really lack firepower in this team. There's not really many goals. I like Ben Fox. I don't mind Anthony O'Connor. The rest of the squad, though, I think is a National League standard squad, in all honesty. Not really a lot happened in the game, as you can see by the summary. Just 1 sub for either side, a couple of goals and not a single yellow card in the match. So a good win for Newport. It puts them back on track a little bit, but again, a game which come the end of the season will just be a pretty meaningless one between 2 teams who are not going to get relegated, not getting promoted, so it doesn't really matter. Chesterfield continued their excellent run of form with their 3rd win on the bounce, 2-1 away at Notts County. Now, is this game a derby? I feel like this is like a Bradford versus Doncaster, where it's neither team's main derby, but it's still classed as some type of derby because they're relatively close on the map. Potentially. Let me know down in the comment section down below. Colchester opened the scoring on at 70 minutes. Liam Gordon is not his name, is it Lewis Gordon? Lewis Gordon. Liam Gordon plays for Walsall. Lewis Gordon, I believe, crossed to the back post. Matty Platt loses his man, and Peppel found himself on the score sheet. Will Jarvis would equalise in the 81st minute. It was very poor defending really from Chesterfield. Notts County seemed to have a massive overload, and Jarvis took his shot. It was deflected off the Chesterfield man and slowly creeped into the bottom corner, and then he decides to celebrate by cupping his ears to his own fans. Now, you all know my thoughts when Ryan Grady did it to the Fleetwood fans, so it's not going to change. Will Jarvis should be ashamed of himself, really, considering Notts County have given him an opportunity to actually start playing football again, because he wasn't doing it at Hull City. They've given him, a 3.5-year contract, and he decides to celebrate by scoring his first goal in over 2 months for the football club. by cupping his ears to them. I do not like that whatsoever, and I think he should be really ashamed of his celebration, especially considering they went on to lose the match. Now, obviously, it wasn't the fault of Will Jarvis. A shot comes in, hits Jacob Bedo in the face, and it falls perfectly for Tom Naylor, who finishes into the back of the net to give the Spyrites their third win on the spin, but just don't celebrate by cupping your ears to the fans who are paying your wages. Absolutely pathetic. It was quite an even game, to be fair. Knox maybe slightly edged it in terms of the stats. Obviously, more possession, more shots, equal amount of shots on target. But Chesterfield, they've got the firepower in their team to win football matches. They've recently started getting a few players back from injury, and they're looking like the team that we all expected to see at the start of the campaign. Obviously, they had recently been on a very bad run. It's now 3 wins on the spin for them. They're still 7 points off the playoffs. I have already written them off potentially, but they win the next couple and we see maybe a Port Vale or Notts County continue to wobble, and who knows where they'll finish at the end of the campaign. They've got the best goal difference from 8th downwards in the entire division. They score a lot of goals. They don't really concede that many, in all honesty, but they just lose. They have lost and drawn far too many matches so far this season. They have got a game in hand as well. Could maybe the Spyrites finish in the playoffs come the end of the season, continue this run? It'll be hard for them to do. They'll have to win at least 8 of their final 10, but it's certainly possible with the players they've got in their team. In terms of Notts County, their miserable run continues despite a very good win on Tuesday away at Grimsby. Dave McGoldrick, I think, played the full game in this one, but they just lack quality going forward, and defensively they've started to leak a few goals as well. Not a good result for them, and it's just 4 points picked up at their last possible 15 available. That's not good enough. And the final game for us to talk about then in today's video saw Port Vale finally get back at 2 winning ways as they demolished MK Dons. The first goal is just a terrible mistake from Nico Lawrence. He just waits far too long on the ball. Laurent Talai then capitalises on it with a very good finish into the back of the net. The second goal, 7 minutes into the second half, a great cross into the box from Ronan what the hell was going on there with my accent? From Ronan Curtis, and then Jaden Stockley pokes a toe towards the ball. I think it's weak goalkeeping. The MK Dons shot stopper gets a hand to it, but can only parry it into the corner, and it's like he's blasted it in from 3 yards out. I think he should be doing better with that. And then the scoring was wrapped up in the 98th minute by Ben Garrity. Another assist for Ronan Curtis, and a very good finish from Ben Garrity, chipping it over the goalkeeper. In terms of the stats, again, MK Dons dominated possession, but just did nothing with it. I don't understand why they've sacked Scott Lindsay to then just play the exact same style of play. So well and good having 70% of the ball, but you've had 1 shot on target. The opposition have had 30% of the ball. They've created nearly 3 XG. They've absolutely battered you, and I just do not understand walk ball. It does not work for the large part, especially in League 2. A big win though for Port Vale. Again, only one of 2 teams to win in the entire top 6. It was much needed after their recent bad run of form, where they've only picked up 3 points out of their last 12. It's good for them to finally get back to winning ways, and now just 2 points off of third with a game in hand, so very important for them to win that. They have also lost the joint least amount of games in the entire division. As for MK Dons, well done, you beat Morecambe just about at home, but they are very bad. Very, very bad. They need a serious change of direction or whatever. Something needs to change at MK Dons. Sack off work ball, or it's just going to continue. They've sacked the manager, but they're playing the exact same style of football. It doesn't work. You've seen it all season. It's not working, so I don't understand why they're not changing it up. Try go a bit more direct. You've got the players to do so. It's costing them goals, as we saw with the first one. They're absolutely terrible, but a very important 3 points for Port Vale. Now, I'm far too moody to do a final review. Carlisle and Morecambe are going down. I don't know who's going up. Genuinely, it changes every week. I was so confident Bradford were going up, but if we don't win next Saturday, then I am really concerned, especially with Sarsvik being out until probably mid-April, Poynton and Patterson not back for another couple of weeks as well. Very frustrating, very disappointing. Thank you all for watching today's League 2 review. We've had a lot of dodgy refereeing decisions. Let me know your thoughts on all the different penalty decisions which weren't given, and all that sort of stuff down in the comment section down below. Some blatantly more obvious than others. If the Doncaster one's not a penalty, how is the Bradford one a penalty? At Bradford City, if that one is a penalty, then how's the one a couple of minutes later not a penalty? Absolutely shocking. The officials, they need to be held to more of they need more repercussions really when they're doing wrong, because they're absolutely disgusting. Some of these officials, they're absolutely awful. If bloody Bob at the builder's yard kept building houses wrong and they kept falling down, guess what, he'd be sacked, wouldn't he? He wouldn't then be told go build some mansions years later. I don't know. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe. My head's still on Mars from yesterday, and it's been over 24 hours since the game finished. Whatever.